Welcome to the Private Property Podcast. My name is Mbali Nwoko, and this is the Farming Podcast. And I'm your host this evening, just like every other week onto the show. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and supporting us continuously week after week. We're reaching close to the 70th episode, and it's just been a fantastic journey to have you on board, to you at home and all the guests that have joined us this evening. I'm excited about our conversation today because we have a lovely guest. I was privileged enough to share the stage with her at a recent women's seminar, and just sitting in the audience, she inspired me, and pretty much it's all about her philosophy and her vision for starting her vegetable gardening farm. But most importantly, she's engrossed herself in a community that not only spans from adults, but right down to youth and young individuals. I have the pleasure of introducing to you Mandi Maifadi, who's the managing director of Naledi Farm. They're based in Centurion, and tonight we're going to hear all about her story and, most importantly, Naledi Farm. So if you have any questions for our guests this evening, please comment below. We're happy to take any questions, any comments, any inquiries that you might have based on my conversation with Mandi this evening, and continue to like, share this video. You'll catch us on YouTube post this interview if you missed any parts, but please, we'd love to engage with you in our live conversation. Let's welcome our guest this evening. Mandi, how are you doing? And thank you so much for joining the Private Property Farming Podcast.
Thank you so much, Mbali, for having me. I am honored to be here today. Thank you so much.
Great. I think it's great to have you on today, most importantly, because a lot of people aspire to start farms. And, you know, the first point of reference where they start is actually in their backyard. And I like the concept that you've created around Naledi Farm, vegetable gardening. Firstly, tell us about who is Mandi Maifadi before Naledi Farm, and what inspired the dream or vision behind Naledi Farm?
Sure. Okay. I'm thinking, where do I start? I'm a mother of three. The eldest is now 15. The youngest is, how old is Naledi? He's 11 now. I am my father's daughter. I followed my father everywhere. I grew up in Kwakwa, which is in the Eastern Free State. Mbali, you won't believe up to this day that people who think Kwakwa is in Lesotho. Kwakwa is not in Lesotho, it's in the Eastern Free State. So that's where I was born, that's where I was raised. Those beautiful mountains, usually now in winter, we have snow, shaped me, and running around, following my father, especially in the garden. And those are the earliest memories I have of myself. I mean, I think I was about 8 years when I learned about nasturtiums. You know, those are edible flowers that you find now, you know, people growing. But I was only 8 years when I learned that these are nasturtiums. And this is from my upbringing, following my father around everywhere in those beautiful mountains of Kwakwa. That's me. Then I went on to study botany and zoology up to master's level. I worked in the public health sector for 14 years. And yeah, but I've always, you know, loved working with my hands. I've always loved working with the soil and being out in nature. That is just me.
Wow. So what inspired the dream and vision behind Naledi Farm when you started in 2017?
Sure. Okay. So the dream, Naledi Farm, it was inspired by a children's book. There's a book that I wrote in 2010 when I was expecting Naledi. I say he's our youngest, our last, but my husband always corrects me and says he's our youngest. So yes. Naledi, I was expecting him in 2010, and I started to put together a book for him, right? It's a book written in Sesotho with beautiful, colorful illustrations to inspire the African child. Because my thinking was, if I don't write for my child, who will? Because you go to at that time you would go to bookstores and you would not find anything written in Sesotho or in isiZulu or any of our African languages. Then I decided to and would ended up publishing this book in I think it was in 2012 when we then self. Then from that book, we self-published. The dream grew bigger when to give this book like sort of like a 3D form. You know, if you're thinking maybe Walt Disney. So we've always had these crazy ideas, my husband and I. So we wanted our children and their parents to then we started searching for land. You know, that's how Naledi Farm came into being. We started looking for land, and in 2015 we found ourselves a beautiful and that's where when we arrived we said, yes, this is the home of Naledi, this is Naledi Farm. So that's what inspired. Yeah.
Lovely. So what size of land is Naledi Farm operating on, and what services does Naledi Farm provide?
Place. At first, when we moved in, I mean, it felt very, very big. I remember we are used to living in small spaces. We felt like it was really so overwhelming. One of the first things that we did, though, when we got to the farm, this and that, but we're not eating cement and bricks. So let's start our vegetable patch, which is why
I believe we have some connectivity issues with Mandi on her side. We'll just try contact her on the side and just see if she could reconnect.
When we thought, okay, now we are ready to open our home. It's really our home for guests. And I remember that, yeah.
Hi, Mandi, can you hear me properly? Hi, Mandi, can you hear me properly? I think we can just go to a short ad break. Let's just try reconnect with Mandi, because I think she's got a wealth of information and very valuable for everybody at home this evening. So if you just could give us a few seconds and we'll just try and reconnect with Mandi and have her back onto the show. Apologies for that. We have Manti back onto the show. If it's not internet connectivity, it is load shedding. But nothing could stop the Farming Podcast from continuing. Manti, I just have to repeat that question again because you obviously got disconnected there. But what I was asking is that how big of land is Naledi Farm operating on, and what service are you currently providing on your farm?
We are on a 3-hectare. It's a 3-hectare piece of land. But as I was saying, one of the first things that we did when we got there was to set up a vegetable garden. All activities, believe you me, in Bali, are centered around that vegetable garden. So we moved in 2015. We started with renovations, but the garden had to begin. We have to have a garden immediately. And 2 years later, in 2017, we decided that now we were ready, to open up our home for guests. And we had a garden. I mean, we had lots and lots of food that we could share with guests. And we thought, okay, why not use the food that we have in the garden and, sit on long tables with our guests, but also invite somebody who can come and share their life's journey. That's how the harvest table, that is our flagship, what you call it? One of the first things that we did.
Yes,
the harvest table. From the harvest in the sense that we're going to the garden to harvest, seasonal veggies, whatever it is that we had at the time, a celebration, of the hard work, but also a harvest in the sense of the knowledge that a speaker would come and bring. And that's how the harvest table was born. And that's how we started. We started it in our living room. We hired chairs, plastic chairs, and those tables when we peel at funerals. We would hire those and cover them with tablecloths, but it would just be a beautiful and day with family and just sharing and breaking bread. And all the other servings that we have now were born from the harvest table. From them people wanted, can I come and host a baby shower? Can we come and host a birthday party? And that's how we grew. We then went on to introduce the children's corner, which is one of my favorites because we're thinking, let us start them young. So we have children's camps. Pity now it's COVID, we can't have those. But when we have camps, children come, we spend a whole entire weekend with them. And the main aim is to encourage children to work with their hands, right? To be independent and to be able to grow their own food, So we teach them all sorts of things. We also have day activities for them where they could just come for a couple of hours. And we had one, I think about a month ago, where we were talking about leaves and photosynthesis, right? So making those abstract things that they learn in school practical and very easy for them to understand, giving them practical hands-on examples on the farm. So we have quite a varied number of services, but the children's one, yes, and recently now we started with the what can I call it? The revolution of the home garden. Let's call it the revolution of the home garden. That's what we are really, really working on currently.
So maybe let's deep dive into that revolution of the home garden. What does it involve?
Yeah, you'll know, Mbali, that all of us, we grew up with a vegetable garden at home, But I guess because of, our move to the cities, our busy lives, and, we have sort of, some of us don't have the time to do, to have vegetable gardens. Some of us don't have the space. So we are going into that gap to help, us remember how to grow our own food, because it's what we know. I mean, our parents have been growing food, since forever. So we're saying we are here to help families and people to remember how to grow their own food. We started this thing in, I think it was last year when COVID started. Yeah, I think that's when we started. Our motto is no space is too small,
Yes.
Even if you have a corner somewhere where the sun shines, you are able to grow something.
So,
Right? So we go out to your...
Yes.
Yeah, carry on.
I was actually going to ask.
I'm saying,
if I understand correctly, are you revolutionizing people's home gardens so that they could grow their own vegetable gardens themselves?
absolutely. Grow your own food, because I mean the food system, you'll know when it's about trust, right? You have to trust the farmer that grows the food for you. You have to trust the van that transports it from the farm to the grocery, to the market. You have to trust the grocery store that sells, that perhaps saves it in their fridges, that they have your best interest at heart, right? But we don't, because we have to make profits. So we sometimes, you're not really sure. But if you grow your own food, you know exactly what has gone into if you put a plate of food in front of your child, you know exactly what has gone into the soil, because I mean you grew it yourself. So that's what we're saying. So we'll go into your home and we'll help you with whatever space you have, whatever time you have, to help you set up a vegetable garden.
Yeah. So going into Naledi Farm and how you started your vegetable garden, how did you come about to this, to say, firstly, I'm going to start growing vegetables? And what type of vegetables did you start to plant or grow?
Well, with me, I guess it was easy because I come from a family of growers. My grandmother, who I'm named after, grew food. Her home was just a paradise of fruit and veggies, and we would never lack anything. But I would say for somebody who's beginning, who wants to start, right, you can never go wrong with green beans, right? In the summer now, when the winter, when spring starts, think August, September, green beans, they're very, very quick to germinate. Within 5 days, you already feel like you're a farmer. You feel like you're a gardener, because those little heads would already have popped out of the ground, right? Yes. So your green beans, your spinach, your tomatoes, those you can't go wrong with. Then you grow into it, right? You learn your soil, you learn the sun patterns, you learn about your climate, but you grow into it and your confidence grows, and you can start beginning to introduce other things like your chili and your what other things, potatoes and sweet potatoes. But we say start with those basics, start with things that you use on a daily basis. Tomato can go wrong, spinach, beans, and if you have space, pumpkin is also a very easy something very easy to grow if you have space for it. But start small, learn your soil, have interest. Look at what sort of birds, what sort of animals are visiting my space, and with time you grow into it and you become confident in it.
Yeah. And I remember when we were at that women's seminar, you shared a very, very important philosophy that Naledi Farm is centered around, which is a farm or a vegetable garden that is pesticide free. And for people that want to start their own vegetable gardens and sometimes are sharing pictures to say, the birds ate my spinach, or I'm seeing a funny worm eating my spinach, how can people manage their own production, considering the fact that they didn't study botany just like you, they didn't study agriculture just like other people? How can they just manage and ensure that they can successfully grow their own food, having managed pesticide-free their crops to exceed expectations?
I'll go again to say start small, right?
Yeah.
Start small. Start with what you can manage, and just learn your environment, right? What we do is that we plant we don't just plant like one big batch of cabbages or batch of spinaches. We plant a whole variety of things. We try and mimic nature. That there is diversity in nature. I mean, if you go to a forest right now, you'll find that there are tall trees, there is grass, there are vines. There is interest and diversity And our gardens are exactly like that. So we plant herbs with spinach, we plant flowers and onions, everything together. Like I said in the seminar, we confuse the enemy, right? So that, those little hohakis, when they smell that smell of garlic, like, I'm not going next to that garlic, but that garlic is growing next to a spinach. So plants help each other in that way. So that is what we call companion planting, where plants help each other, some give shade, like if you're planting, the three sisters, you have your mealies, right, which are tall, you have your beans, and then they use the mealies to go up as stakes, right? And then you have your pumpkin at the floor, and then the mealies are providing shade for your pumpkins. So that is what we call companion planting, using plants to help each other to grow and to thrive. But it takes practice, right? It's not something that you can learn overnight. It takes practice, and if you're unsure, you ask questions. I mean, we have a lot of elders who know these things. You go to your grandparents and you ask them, how do I do this without getting putting in pesticides in my food? How do I get? I mean, I always go to my grandfather. He tells me there's a very good concoction of garlic, marigold. I don't know if you know marigold. It's a flower, chili. It's like a very potent spray that you can just spray on your spinaches just to deter insects. Yeah.
Wow. So can I just repeat that? It's marigold.
So marigold, yeah, you remember marigolds, those yellow flowers, they don't have a nice smell.
Yes, potent. Pungent smell, yeah.
Yes, and then some chili. Just think of anything potent that you can put in there. Chili, and then you put garlic, right? And then you let them sit for at least 24 hours, and you just spray. But of course, there'll be a bite here and there. But I always say that assures you that these things are safe. If they can, if they're safe for the hohakis, it means they're safe for me.
For you. And at least if you're growing it directly, you know what has gone into that food. You've seen the progress from seed to flowering to now getting a full leaf or a full pumpkin. And, it's pretty much safe for you to consume because you were involved in every step of the way of the production. But,
absolutely.
Mandy, one thing that I always emphasize on the farming podcast is that as much as we might have individuals like yourselves who are running vegetable gardens and have, developed a passion into a business, at the end of the day, whether it's a vegetable garden or a farm that we're running, it is a business at the end of the day. And so, at the start of our conversation, you mentioned these are tough times. And I just want you to share how the business Naledi Farm has been disrupted by, COVID-19 restrictions, lockdown measures. I mean, this concept of the harvest table, it sounds phenomenal, to be outdoors in a different environment and just talk with maybe strangers or group of friends about life, problems, opportunities, great things that have happened in our life. Again, eating food that is grown by you, for example. That is such a wonderful concept. And I think during now COVID, people wish to be outdoors because we've been up in our small spaces for far too long. So how has the pandemic maybe just disrupted your business?
It has disrupted us in a very big way. Remember, we're an agri-tourism destination. So our business is really, really reliant on guests coming to visit us. So if guests are not able to come to visit, it means we don't have business, right? I mean, the last year was really, really tough. You may remember last year we had a very hard lockdown. So we had absolutely no income. And that's when we started the vegetable garden drive revolution. At least in that way, we would be able to go to people's home without interacting with them. We were just outside. We were minding our own business. We set up your garden and we leave, just to stay afloat and to be able to keep the stuff, that we have on the farm. But it has really, really been tough to, even now, I mean, people are not we're not, fully confident, to go out and socialize. So it's really, 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 really tough. But we are grateful because we have the large open space. When you come to visit us, most of our activities are held outside, and we're fortunate that we have that. But we push on.
Absolutely, we do. We have to push on. You mentioned that you've got 3 children. How involved are they in the vegetable garden? I mean, in the vegetable garden, and it is Youth Month, just by the way.
Yes,
so how have you, as a mother, maybe just as partners, yourself and your husband, pulled the children into this vegetable garden? Because it's so important that the youth know and understand where their food comes from.
Well, they're not only involved in the vegetable garden, they're involved in the business as a whole. We try and integrate everything, them into everything that we do. Beginning of the year, we sit as a family, the 5 of us, and we have a boss barat, a strat plan, and you'll be amazed at the, great ideas they come up with for the business. They're really, really hands-on. And my daughter Lesego is a great cook. She does hospitality at school. The desserts that we serve on the farm are made by her. Lesedi is very good with children. He just has this warm personality. So that's where he fits in. Naledi is the one who welcomes guests. So they're really, really involved. Like we have Sunday lunches. Every Sunday. If you come on that day, you'll see how everybody just goes to their corner to make the day a success. And after all is done and the guests have left, we sit together as a family again just to debrief, and you just get goosebumps listening to the things that they're able to see as small as they are, to say, Mama, but here, let's not do this, but let's do that. So they're really, really, really involved. And we think it's important because we want them to own Naledi Farm, right? So that they can sustain it and move with it and grow with it.
That is phenomenal, Manti. Just to run down or sum up Naledi's Farm's service offerings, and please feel free to add more. So you've spoken about the harvest table. You've spoken about the children tours that you guys have, and also the revolutionizing other people's home gardens. Are those the 3 main services that you have within Naledi Farm, or are there more? And so please tell us.
More. Yeah. So we also have Sunday lunches, which every Sunday we cook, and guests come, they book, and we sit outside and have a lovely meal from the garden. In fact, this very Sunday we're having a Father's Day event for fathers and their children. We also have cooking demos where we'd invite a chef who shares same values, right? And those are meant to be educational, where we go into the garden and we pick whatever it is that we pick, and we go to cook together in the kitchen, bringing those beautiful plants of ours, bolingana, mhlonyane, mpepo, bringing them back onto the table.
Wow. We have a question here, Manti, from one of our viewers, Jacob Molekwa. He asks, what are the requirements to register a company for mixed vegetable farming?
Sure. I don't know how to answer that one.
I think he just answered his own question, because he says, what are the requirements to register a company for mixed vegetable farming? So I believe that even if you want to do mixed vegetable farming, you want to run it into a business, you have to register it as a company, whether it's a PTY Ltd or for non-profit. But I think that information he could find out from the CIPC pretty much to be correct. And so if I understand, so it's Naledi Farm is run by yourself, your husband, and the 3 children. And what is the future vision for Naledi Farm?
Sure. We in the short term, I think in the next 5 years, we pray that we get accommodation, because of a lot of our guests saying, we don't want to leave this place. Do you have room for us to sleep?
Wow.
Currently we offer tenting, a type of accommodation where people can set up tents, but we hope to be able to have accommodation. I think that's in the short term.
Yes.
In the next 5 years. Yes.
That is lovely. So literally, Naledi Farm has grown from you moving into a plot, in a peri-urban area, farming your vegetables, and then teaching the community, and most importantly, making it interactive and an agritourism space. Absolutely. So, I think this has just been such a phenomenal growth in just plus minus 4-5 years.
Yeah, I sometimes want to pinch myself, like from that book, that 10-pager book, and this is how we have grown. It's phenomenal. It's really, it just shows you what is possible if you work hard. I mean, that's number one. Work hard. Yes, you must work hard, and we are really, really blessed to have support of the universe is just coming and supporting us, and we have strangers coming to support us. But making that first step, that's the key thing. Make that first step, and you just open a whole world of amazing, amazing things. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, Mandy, I'm so proud of your success, and just as a woman, just doing it, and most importantly, just impacting the lives of others. Because it seems like as much as Naledi Farm has become a preferred agri-tourist space, you've also touched a lot of lives and impacted a lot of lives just on the work that you do, and the conversations, I presume, that are had at that harvest table. I can almost just feel that energy within you, as people are just able to sit here and be in a safe space. And it's evident if they don't want to go home, it's because they love the space that they're in, and it's just therapeutic in some sense.
I guess most of our guests find themselves in this predicament. They'll say, Mandy, we know that we are guests here at Naledi Farm, but we also feel like we are family, So it's like home away from home. It's like, sitting on your grandmother's stoop and drinking tea. That is just the kind of space that we've been blessed with and have been able to create. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for having this conversation with us. I think I need to take a turn at Naledi Farm, vice versa, and you come through and visit the farm with myself. But I think, your space sounds so much more relaxing and very, very insightful in just terms of how we can feed ourselves at home. But just to make sure people can catch you on social media, on Instagram, what other social media pages are they on? So they've catch on the website as well?
So we are on Instagram and Facebook as Naledi Farm, right? And then also on our website, www.naledifarm. That's where they can get hold of us.
Fantastic. So are you fully booked for Father's Day?
We have. I'm actually very nervous about it. People are excited. We are booked. We are booked. It's going to be fun. Lots of fun. We'll be cooking outside in the open fire, fathers chopping wood and children chopping veggies. It's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful afternoon.
Wow. Well, I wish you the best of success for that afternoon, and I hope it goes well, and that fathers and children can connect with themselves, with each other. But thank you, Mandy, for your time this evening. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bali. Thank you for having me, and I'll definitely come and make a turn and see the work that you do.
Awesome. Thank you. That was Mandy Maifadi, the managing director of Naledi Farm. They're based out in Centurion, and she's pretty much told us her life story on how Naledi Farm was birthed, the vision, the concept behind it, and most importantly, she just started as a normal vegetable farm to feed her family, but then found that she had excess produce and she needed to share it with a lot of people, and that's how Naledi Farm pretty much converted into an agri-tourist spot where she's holding harvest tables, tours or excursions for young children to know where their food comes from and how to grow their food. And most importantly, just as adults, in terms of how and where to grow your food in your own garden. No space is too small. And that's why she's also developed a service offering where she can transform your garden at home so that you could feed your own family. If you missed our conversation tonight, you'd find it on YouTube on our farming playlist under the private property channel. Most importantly, please catch Manti from Naledi Farm on their Instagram, Facebook, social media pages as Naledi Farm, as well as on their website, which is Naledi Farm. That's it from me this evening. Stay home, stay safe, and I will catch you next week, Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Good night.